What is going on, guys? Weevil YouTuber here, back with another video. And I kind of stole this from Prowinston's page, so credit to him for the deck profile. But this is the second place deck profile from YCS Barcelona. It is, of course, my favourite deck in the entire universe right now, a Mermail Atlantean deck. And I'm just going to go through the basics. Pretty much what's different about the deck. And you can pretty much see it right here. 3 copies of Maxie. Very, very strange indeed. Although I can fully understand why he did it, because there are a lot of Wynette decks still around. A lot of decks which like to spam monsters. And as I said, the first turn Maxie play against agents isn't actually that bad a move, since they're going to have to go into a gachi, blah 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 blah, as I have talked about before. So the deck is pretty standard, as Mermail decks go. He has 3 copies of Gen X Undine, he has 3 copies of Deep Sea Diva, but he balances it out by having 2 copies of Salvage, so we can basically bring them back and use them over and over and over and over again. 3 copies of Atlantean Dragoons, 2 Heavy Infantry, and 3 Marksmen. Some people just run 2 of each, but I, at the moment, actually am running 3 of Marksmen as well. He has 2 copies of Abyss Linda. I would normally run 3, but that's fine. 3 copies of Abyss Megalo, I believe now is a staple, because you just need to draw them in your opening hand, or you need to get into your hand soon, and that is the best way you can do that. Also, the more stuff you have to dump from your hand to special summon Abyss Megalo, the easier it will be to bring out Moon Glacia and just take cards from your opponent's hand. 2 copies of Mermail this Pike, that is pretty standard at this point. As for the spells, he has Allure of Darkness, Dark Hull, Heavy Storm, Mind Control, Monster Reborn, Pot of Avarice, and 2 Salvage, as I've said. For the traps, he only has 6, low trap count being pretty standard for Mermails as it is. 3 copies of Abyss Sphere, 1 Mirror Force, and 2 Torrential Tributes. Now, it is the side deck and the extra deck which are particularly curious to me. I'm going to actually look at the extra deck first. First thing you'll notice is that he doesn't have a Gachi Gachi Gantetsu in his extra deck, and sometimes you just need to defend yourself, and ergo, you need to go into like a first turn Gachi play or something like that. I'm not sure when you would actually decide to do that instead of a Cataster, but it's just a nice option to have. It also gives attack boosts to your monsters. Mermail Abyss Megalo enables him to get over things. I just don't understand why he didn't do that. Perhaps he was concentrating more on an OTK. Maxie, I can actually understand why in that regard, because he'll be able to draw a lot more cards, and Mermails love their big hands. But the extra deck, he has Army Arm, Allied Justice Cataster, Hyper Librarian, Duloran, Gungnir, Black Rose Dragon, Scrap Dragon, and Mistworm. As for the Army Arm, I really, really like him. He's really, really easy to bring out. Perhaps that is the reason why he didn't run Gachi, because he was going into Army Arm much more often by going Diva, into Heavy Infantry, and then going into Army Arm. As for the XYZs, he has Abyss Dweller for the only rank 4. People seem to be doing that a lot lately. I don't really get it, because there's a lot of the other rank 4s that are just really, really good, like Utopia and Maestro and stuff like that. So he has Levier, he also has the Lightning Dragon and Zen mains for the rank 3s, and then he has Abyss Gaius and Big Eye for the rank 7s, if he ever overlays 2 Abyss Megalos. As for the side deck, it's pretty weird, I have to say so myself. Lost Blue Breaker. So we all know what he does because he was in the original structure deck. If there is another face-up fish, sea serpent, or aqua type monster on the field, you can tribute this card to target 1 spell or trap card on the field and destroy that target. So he's not that amazing to me, because you're tributing himself. You're not tributing another monster, not like Piercing Marae or something like that, so you don't get to activate Atlantean effects. Nevertheless, you can bring him out with Deep Sea Diva, which isn't that bad a thing at all. It might be something for people to consider if this deck did indeed come second, and this guy put it in his side deck, then why not use it? Deck Devastation Virus, particularly odd, considering his only targets would be the 2 cards he would side in, a second Trag and a Gorse. So, I mean, you're just sort of wondering to yourself how the hell he would actually get this card off. But if you think about it, there's a lot of easy ways to get it off in the deck. For example, if you go first turn Diva and you go into Allied Justice Cataster, he's a very easy target for Deck Devastation Virus, as is Tech Gen's Hyper Librarian, both of which are dark, and both of which have over 2,000 attack points. So you can definitely understand why he ran this card, but it's a bit of a risky side in my opinion, because he could just not draw the Divas. Nevertheless, that is why he had 3 in the deck. So he also has 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon for those decks that like to run a hell of a lot of back row, such as Windups, Insectors, Agents, and other decks like that. Well, it depends on the agent deck, actually. Some agent decks just run like 29 monsters and barely any back row. But any case, moving on. Gozen Match, because most of his monsters are indeed water. Maxie doesn't matter because he's ditching it from his hand. Gen X Controller because he's removing it with Allure of Darkness. So most of the monsters he'll be dealing with will be water monsters on the field. Trigon will more than likely be an XYZ material, and he won't activate Ghost and Match until he's sorted that out. So, you know, you can definitely see why this card just screws over, of course the fact that it screws over so many other decks as well. Doesn't really hurt the likes of Agents because there's mostly light monsters there, but it completely screws over Windups, which as we know are, you know, pretty much the top deck of the format right now. It completely screws over Rescue Rabbit, which won the YCS event. Basically because the guy drew Macrocosmos in his opening turn in all 3 games. So, you know, what can you do about that? I don't know, he might have 2-0'd him, I'm not even sure. 3 copies of Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. Really, really good against Insectors and Dark Worlds. They're the only 2 decks we've ever really paid attention to with these decks. He sides in 3 because, you know, he just wants to draw them, basically. There's no other question about it. 1 Gores and 1 Trag, as I said. Sides them in together with deck Devastation Viruses. Also, if he just wants to special summon more monsters and he wants to get a bit of defense for himself. As you can see, he doesn't have a lot of back row, or at least if he has it, it's not going to stick around for very long. He's going to use Torrential to blow up the field so that he can go into his power plays. He might also use Torrential as a strategy to get 5 water monsters in grave, although that is unlikely because it's very situational. Finally, a card which I believe everyone should try out in Mermails, which is Creature Swap. I mean, if you imagine a scenario, you summon Genix Undine, you send your stuff, you plus off him. Your opponent has a monster that you're worried about that's stronger than Genix Undine. You don't want to waste sending a heavy inventory and not plus 2ing off Genix Undine's effect. So what you'll do instead is, you'll summon the Genix Undine, plus 2 off it, -1 off Creature Swap, so you're still at +1, and then attack over the Genix Undine. And the monster obviously is going to be stronger or else you wouldn't do it. Another really good combo you can use is with Mermail Abyssal Linda. You set her face down, you activate Creature Swap, you take one of your opponent's stronger monsters, you attack over the Abyssal Linda, you get a special summon from the deck, and then you attack with that monster. I mean, I can't see any reason why people don't try out this card. It's just because, I suppose, it's versatility in the sense that if you draw it at the wrong time, you're kind of screwed. It's not the kind of card you can use at any time, like Mind Control, Monster Reborn, you know, setting an Abyss Sphere, or something like that. Nevertheless, the deck is really, really impressive. I particularly like the kind of boldness with which he added 3 Maxes to the main deck, and I can fully understand why, as I said, just for the draw power aspect. As you can see, he has 28 monsters in this deck, which is crazy, but he has a 42 card deck. Not that he's too worried about it, as I said, because he's drawing so much from Maxie. Anyway guys, that is it for the video. I gotta get some lunch. So I will talk to you guys later. Be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. I'm Weebly YouTuber, and I am signing out. Peace, guys.